And here we go on this Monday evening in the city. Very happy to have you with us on a beautiful night, by the way. It's going to rain early tomorrow morning, but where we are right now, about 70-ish, give or take a degree or two. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to the Monday edition of Real Talk Memphis. I am your humble host, Chip Washington. Very happy to be here with you this evening. And my voice is about shot. I have the crud, which does not translate into the flu or COVID. But there's a lot going around these days. I mean, there's a lot of respiratory infections that are happening. There's a lot of flu that is happening at record rates and RSV for the young folks. We're going to talk about that. We have a slight program change this evening. One of my guests could not make it, so I am very fortunate to have Dr. Steve Threlkeld. I've been meaning to get him back on anyway. We got a lot to talk about when hospitalizations and illnesses are the top story on the national news. You know, it's time for me to bring him in and have a conversation about all this, and so we will a bit later on. Let me take a step back. For those of you who are checking us out for the first time or so, there's plenty of ways you can find us. We are live right now on the radio at 91.7 WYXR on the FM side. You can also pick us up on the WYXR app. We are also on the TuneIn app, and these are all live right now. The show is also on Facebook Live, and sometime later tonight or tomorrow, more like tomorrow, it'll be posted on YouTube. And, of course, we are a podcast, so you can pick us up once they post the show tomorrow afternoon, wherever it is you get your podcast. Can you tell by listening to me that I sound not the best? Because I don't feel like I sound the best, and I'm not feeling my best today. But you know what? The tough ones always, you know, they never leave it. They leave it all on the table. You know, you got to get out here. You got to do your thing. And I tell you right now, if I didn't have to drive home, I would sleep in the studio tonight. That's how tired I got. But I digress. So in any event, in terms of our guest, rounding out the show this evening, there is a lot going on in our city, and that is an understatement. And hopefully we will be having a conversation shortly with City Councilman, District 8.1 or 8-1, City Councilman J.B. Smiley should join the show here in just a short period of time. And a little bit later on, we're going to introduce you to and be speaking with the first ever Shelby County Arts and Culture Liaison. That's a very interesting deal, and I'm kind of interested as to how the mayor decided to come up with this and why it was needed. But her name is Nykesha Cole. So she will be joining us in the second half hour of the big broadcast. Now, normally at this time, I would have a list of birthdays. But it's been one of those days. So I don't have a list. But as I remember correctly, there wasn't that many. But nonetheless, to each and every one of you who celebrated a birthday either over the weekend, yesterday, or today in particular, or this week, a very, very, very happy birthday from all of us here at Real Talk Memphis. You know how we like to do it. We like to celebrate you, and, we like to do the theme and call your name out. Well, just know I can't do that tonight, but, you made another trip around the sun. So that, in and of itself, is an accomplishment, right? So we wish you happy journey this year, and we wish you even a greater journey next year when we can all reconvene around this microphone, and wish each of you a proper happy birthday and another trip around the sun. Let's get into some news and notes, shall we? The MLGW, who's going to run it, standoff continues between the mayor and the city council over the mayor's proposed appointee, which is Doug McGowan, who is the current COO of the city. The city council, led by President I'm just having a hard time. Martavius Jones has said that he prefers, instead of just an appointment across the board, he would like to see a national search for a new leader of MLGW. What do y'all think about that? You think that's a good idea? You think we should just go with what we know? We're going to talk to JB about that as well, because he did actually propose an alternative to all of this standoff issue and situation. He proposed an alternative, which I thought was decent, but it was shot down by his council mates. So we're going to find out a little bit about that as well. So stay tuned. That story continues. Well, another story that is doesn't seem to have an end is the drama with the Memphis and Shelby County schools. First, it was George Ray, who is no longer. Then it was interim superintendent John Barker, who was placed on administrative leave about a month or so ago, and we still hadn't got a resolution to that investigation. He's off with pay, pending claims of discrimination and a hostile workplace. And now we have the chief of human resources. Her name is Yolanda Martin. She has been placed on paid administrative leave regarding a complaint filed against her. She says she has no clue and no idea exactly what this is all about until she was informed late last week that she was off. They were doing an investigation, and they would let her know if/when she could come back. She's been off on FMLA. A lot of the complaints and the issues against John Barker apparently were from her. She is his direct report, and it was pretty nasty stuff, man. I mean, we're talking, again, discrimination, racial discrimination, harassment, the whole 9 yards. There's a lot going on there. So, that begs the question, how does this affect what goes on the day-to-day when the corporate folks can't keep their stuff together? And then this puts a lot of pressure on the city, the board, the Board of Education there. They've been pretty quiet, but I'm to understand that I guess at some particular point in time they're going to give us an update on the search for the superintendent, which we don't have one yet either. And again, there's several groups that are calling for a national search for the next superintendent. Micah was one of the big local groups today that said that we need a national search for the replacement. Again, what do you think about this? That's a pretty, and how does it affect the day-to-day that's going on, with our young people in terms of their education? Shifting gears, yet another name is about to be added to the mayor's race. I'm sure many of you are aware that Sheriff Floyd Bonner is going to make his official announcement tomorrow that he is throwing his hat into the ring to be the next mayor of the city of Memphis. That announcement comes sometime tomorrow afternoon, I believe. So what do you think about that? I'm looking at you Facebook folks right now. You guys are kind of quiet. I'm looking at you guys to try to see what you think about some of the issues that we're dealing with here. So he is the fourth candidate to announce after tomorrow. That'll be four. He'll join Van Turner, Paul Young, school board member Michelle McKissick, excuse me. Those have declared, and I'm sure that we're not done yet. This is pretty early. So between now and next fall, when the election happens, there'll probably be all kind of different names and juggling and going on. So we'll see how that plays out. This is another story that I think is a little bit troubling. The Group Violence Intervention Program, or GVIP, has been, who basically was formed so they could go into the hospitals and talk with crime victims, shooting victims, about the issues, and also take the temperature down on any retaliation issues that may arise from that. Well, one of the hospitals in town is allowing that to happen. I want to say it was LeBon. I don't know if it's LeBon, but it's one of the hospitals in the city saying, okay, that's great. Come in and talk to these things. Anything you can do to diffuse the situation, we would appreciate you doing that. Well, Regional 1 was approached by it, and Regional 1 said they will not allow this group to come in and talk to these crime victims citing privacy concerns, HIPAA concerns. I don't know if you saw Jeff Warren, one of the city councilmen, because this is a city program, just livid as to why that can't happen and why you can't still keep private situations private, but get into a situation where you might possibly be able to avoid future criminal activity, in terms of retaliation. You know how people are. So, that's another thing I'm going to talk to the city councilman about in just a couple of minutes. And finally, flu shots are now available. The third booster for the Omicron version of COVID is available as well. Very few people have taken advantage of this situation so far. But flu is definitely up. The numbers are up. I had to go to the doctor today to check on me, and they told me that, flu is definitely up. And RSV, which is a respiratory disease that impacts children 2 and under, and can be pretty tough for older folks if they get it. That is really on the rise. And of course, with that, and then the flu, and then COVID, we may see a resurgence of that in December. There's a lot to think about. And there's a lot of questions I'm going to ask in just a couple of minutes. But we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the show, and we're going to speak with our first guest. He is City Councilman J.B. Smiley. This is Real Talk Memphis on a Monday. I am Chip. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
WYXR supported by the Onstage at the Halloran Center season, presenting the Memphis Songwriter Series hosted by Mark Edgar Stewart. Mark and his musical guests take audiences on a journey behind the music, sharing personal stories and introducing new works. The next event is on Thursday, November 10th. For more information, visit orpheum-memphis.com. Support for WYXR comes from our partners at Spaces Group, a certified Miller Knoll dealer. Spaces Group is a commercial furniture dealership located in Memphis, Tennessee and Jackson, Mississippi, specializing in furniture for the corporate, healthcare, educational, and nonprofit markets. More information at spacesgrp.com or their Instagram at spacesmemphis.
WYXR is supported by Minglewood Hall, presenting Dwayne Betts on Thursday, November 10th. Dwayne Betts is an American guitarist and singer-songwriter with a history of performing with the Allman Brothers, Dawes, and Jamtown. Betts is prepping a second solo album, furthering his six-string stories to reflect on a life steeped in blues, rock, and country music. More information at minglewoodhallmemphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Very glad to have you along for the ride, and very glad to have my first guest. We hadn't spoken in quite some time, but there's a lot going on in the city of Good Abode, and I just thought I would make a call so we can get a check-in on some issues and some items that concern us all. So please welcome to the show Councilman J.B. Smiley, District 8-1. And good evening, my friend. How are you?
All is well my way. I'm just happy, and I consider it an honor and a privilege to be here with you.
Well, I consider it the same, that you taking some time out of your busy schedule to come join us tonight. So there's a few things that we need to discuss as pertains to the city. And one of the, I guess, top line issues that we've been discussing lately is who is going to be the successor at MLGW for JT Young. Of course, the mayor has proposed the appointment of Doug McGowan, who is the COO. Your board president, Mr. Martavius Jones, said not so fast. He would like to offer up a nationwide search for the next president and CEO of MLGW. Now, clearly we're at a standoff here. You made a proposal last week at City Council. Tell us a little bit about what your thought was.
Well, first of all, kudos to Councilman Jones. I think Councilman Jones is pretty consistent on where he stands. If you're going to do something for one group of people, you probably should do the same thing and establish some type of consistency.
Yeah.
And if we can look at what happened prior to the mayor's ever being elected, he said we need a national search for the head of animal service. When it came time to appoint someone to lead the police department, he said they need a national search for Director Rollins. When it came time to appoint Rollins' replacement, he said we need a national search for C.J. Davis. When it came time to find who was going to replace Jerry Collins, he said we need a national search. But I think the only difference here now between those folks who were leading their particular departments is the mayor has a really close relationship with Doug McGowan. And at this point, the mayor does not want to, has stated several times he's not going to do a national search. Chief McGowan is his guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this from a point of view that someone who's worked consistently with Chief McGowan and done so pretty well. I think Chief McGowan is effective. I think he would do a pretty good job when it comes to navigating the political terrain, especially when we talk about, Mayor Jim Strickland is leaving, if you didn't know that. Right. And there will be a new mayor in the city of Memphis. So a political terrain that is somewhat tumultuous is going to be different. I think Chief McGowan would do a really good job navigating that. But I also believe that when we talk about MLGW, a $1 billion entity, an entity that requires some type of specialized knowledge as it relates to utilities, I think there a national search will probably do the city of Memphis good. If Chief McGowan comes out of it, I think that'll be great. If Chief McGowan comes before us after national search, I will vote for Chief McGowan. I think he will do a pretty good job. So, my position is this, and my position has been this. I think right now we need someone to lead the ship. So I would say put Chief McGowan in until a national search is done, and at the end of the national search, he's the guy. We leave him there. But the mayor disagreed, the council disagreed, and what you will probably see at the next council meeting, you'll probably see Chief McGowan being considered by the Memphis City Council to be the next president of MLGW.
Wow.
What the council would do, who knows? I think the mayor has been pretty consistent. He's not going to budge, and it seems like the council is willing to budge. So
you're saying tonight that the next time the council convenes, there will be an item on the agenda proposing Doug to be the new head of MLGW?
Well, I haven't been in politics as long as some of these other folks, but it seems like if the mayor's not going to give, and it seems like the council voted down any proposal for a national search, it seems to me that Mayor Strickland is going to get his way, and Chief McGowan will probably be, and if I was a betting guy, I would say he will probably be the next president of MLGW.
Wow. Okay. Well, we just have to sit back and wait and see on that one. In the meantime, obviously, I want to get your take on the situation with GVIP, which is obviously the program that is trying to help. Kind of being in a go-between, if you will, or intermediary, the group violence intervention program for victims of violent crime, and going in and maybe trying to talk with families and other folks who are associated with these situations and try to bring the temperature down, in particular in terms of retaliatory issues. Regional 1 has denied that request. They wanted to, be a party with Regional 1, and Regional 1 said, "Well, we don't feel that's something we need to do because of privacy issues. Well, there's another hospital in town that doesn't have a problem with that. Your colleague, Jeff Warren, has a big-time problem with it. Where do you stand on all this?
Well, first of all, I think Dr. Warren is absolutely right on this issue. But I take it a step further. I think when we're dealing with the rate in which people are being killed in the city of Memphis, and we have a program that's been funded millions of dollars to address violent crime before it happens, and there is one institution in our city that says, you know what, we're not going to be a part of it. I would go so far as say those board members and those individuals who run that hospital don't care about the lives of the people in the city of Memphis.
Wow.
And I think we have to do everything we can, which is public pressure by every elected member in the city and the state. If you don't care about the lives, you probably shouldn't be doing business. You probably shouldn't be leading any institution in the city of Memphis. Protect us. Do what you're supposed to do, which is help the people of the city of Memphis and participate with the group violence intervention program.
I mean, that is a very strong point that you make, because no one seems to really understand why Regional 1, which is, from what I'm to understand, what I know,
they have no legitimate reason to oppose participating in this. Only legitimate reason there isn't one, unless they just don't care about the lives of people in the city of Memphis. And I think it's clear they don't.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with City Councilman J.B. Smiley on a number of issues that are impacting the city. So crime is the number one bullet point on everybody's list. And I just kind of wanted to get your take on, we have a new district attorney. We have a new juvenile court judge. There's been a lot of conversation. There continues to be a lot of conversation on various ways that we can try to stem this or quiet things down a little bit. Where do you stand on all of this?
Well, first of all, I think District Attorney Steve Morrow, he's hit the ground running. He came in, assessed, had a high-profile crime happen, and they quickly identified the suspect, charged the suspect. But he also, if you look at what he's done recently, he's cleaning house. I think the culture that they had previously may not have been the best way. When you're essentially leading the nation and hiding exculpatory evidence, that's evidence that could exonerate someone. I think you have to clean house. And he brought in some pretty high-profile attorneys. He brought in, Attorney Ernest Brooks from Jackson, Tennessee, to help lead the ship. And also, if you look at what Judge Tarek Sugarman has done in juvenile court, he said, out with the old, in with the new. Let's bring in new creative thinkers so that we can try to figure out how we can address juvenile crime, violent crime. And same thing on District Attorney Steve Morrow. I think they are setting themselves up for a lot of success, and a lot of success for those offices, meaning a significant reduction in violent crime.
Is the proposal that was made by the mayor, speaking of crime, and the shortage that we have seen in our law enforcement ranks, both the city and the county, but is the proposal to return the pension plan that was stripped some years back? Do you think that is going to be something that is going to help not only retain officers, but maybe bring in additional officers that are so desperately needed?
Well, first of all, I think when you're dealing with, it's a nationwide shortage. I think we have to keep this in context. It's not a Memphis problem. It's not a Shelby County problem. It's not a Tennessee problem. It's a nationwide problem when you're talking about shortage of police officers. And when you're trying to pull from a limited pool, you have to do everything you can. I was opposed to expanding, the residency requirements.
Right.
And we won that battle until Big Brother at the state decided they're going to remove residency requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you talk about returning pension funds, I think absolutely necessary. There's people who go to work, they want to be able to retire with dignity and a peace of mind. And you can't say, hey, go put your life on the line every day. And when it comes time for you to retire, there may not be any funding there for you. I think you have to provide for people. But I also think you need to do, we've increased funding for take-home cars. We expanded, the type of resources we allocate to police officers. So everything possible so that we can have a police force that can adequately serve the people of Memphis.
In terms of the juvenile crime situation that we are faced with, there has been conversation, and it's slowly starting to move along a little bit in reference to, from the juvenile court perspective, anyone under the age of 19 who is convicted of a serious crime like murder, to talk about blended sentencing or being able to keep them longer in that facility. What's your take on that?
I mean, I think this is an argument between, scholars long before we talked about, violent crime or even thought about, this issue. People were discussing whether the criminal justice system should be more punitive or should be more about rehabilitation. I think this is where we're falling in. We're trying to determine when should we, say, let's take, iron fist, punish this person for doing bad things, or when should we say, hey, this person can be really rehabilitated, and let's focus on that. And I think when you talk about, extending, creating blended sentences, is we're getting more into what criminal justice system should be, which is rehabilitating people who are bad actors, especially those ones who can be rehabilitated.
Before I let you go, I had to ask you about this because maybe it was a surprise to everyone except for you in your campaign, but you launched a campaign for governor. And when it was all said and done, you didn't achieve the outcome that you wanted to, but you did extraordinarily well in terms of the number of votes you received statewide. What did you learn from this experience?
Well, first of all, thank you for everyone who supported our campaign. I think when we announced our campaign, we turned heads. We made national news.
Yes.
And, no one really thought, a young 34-year-old single man had any chance to become a Democratic nominee for governor of the state of Tennessee. I think it's statistically the closest race for a Democratic primary, a statistical tie, 39% to 39%. End up coming short by 1,468 votes, but who's counting? But what I'm gonna tell you what I learned. I learned that no matter where you go, if you have a message that resonates with people, dollars, funds, they help get the message out.
Mm-hmm.
But if your message truly resonates with people, you talk in a way that people understand, anything is possible. I was outraised 4-1. We raised slightly over 200,000. The Democratic nominee raised almost $1 million, and we're less than a percentage point away from, becoming the Democratic nominee. And I think the difference in my campaign and every other campaign is, and I tell people I'm not scripted. I speak from the heart, and that moves people. I think for every potential candidate who's running for any particular office, this is not my first rodeo being outraised. And, the last time I ran and I was outraised, we were successful because we stuck to the script, which is talking to people, talking about issues that folks care about, and just doing right and being authentic everywhere you go.
Well, I got to tell you something, man. It was very, very impressive, and you're a very, very impressive young man as well. And I see great things for you down the road in this world of politics that you dwell in these days. J.B. Smiley, Councilman, thank you so much for coming on Real Talk tonight. It's good to see you again, and all the best to you from now and moving forward.
Thank you. Until next time, peace and blessings, y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Well, that was a great interview, ladies and gentlemen. J.B. Smiley is not one to hide behind rhetoric. He is a man who says it straight. He's very direct, and he says what he means, and he means what he says. And I think he does have a bright future. We're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to shift gears to the health of Memphis and Shelby County and beyond. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Quick break. Right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
WYXR is supported by Graceland Live, presenting Big Bad Voodoo Daddy's Wild and Swingin' Holiday Party on December 10th. For 29 years, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy has created their own take on American swing and jazz music, drawing on a catalog of holiday classics and Christmas originals. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy will bring its live holiday show to you. More information at gracelandlive.com. WYXR is sponsored in part by Indie Memphis, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Indie Memphis Film Festival, October 19th through the 24th. Tickets and more information at indiememphis.org. WYXR is supported by GPAC, presenting Joey Alexander on Saturday, October 15th. At the young age of 19, Joey Alexander has topped the Billboard Jazz Albums chart with multiple releases and now sets his sights to compose idiosyncratic original works. The composer's latest recordings are highly expressive, emotional, and sincere. More information at gpacweb.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the Not Feeling My Best version of Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Glad to have you with us wherever you are. I hope you are staying upright, safe, and healthy. So as I said at the top of the show, when illness once again starts to become the top news story in the country, that's my signal to bring in my doc, my man, the guy who I go to for news and information on the medical front. He is Dr. Steve Threlkeld. Really happy to have him join me this evening. It was kind of a last minute thing, but Dr. Steve, it's good to see you and good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Chip. Sorry you are under the weather.
Man, it's a more of a respiratory thing. I tested for, how they swabbed you for flu and they swabbed you for COVID. And they both came back negative, which was great. But I did have the flu in June or July this summer. And it was absolutely brutal. But I will tell you, as a responsible journalist, that I have had my flu shot. And I have not had my booster yet, but it's coming really, really soon. But I'm hearing this terminology, Dr. Steve, called a triple threat. We're talking about COVID, we're talking about the flu, and we're talking about RSV. And the last time you and I visited a little while ago, you sort of brought that up. But these things are coming to pass. This flu season is starting to become really, really a big deal. And this RSV deal with the young people is really starting to be big. Talk about that.
Yeah, and I would say you're smart to go ahead and get that vaccine, even though you had the flu, because there can be 2 or 3 different flus out there in a given year. So
wow.
You still may need protection from the other strains that could circulate a month or 2 later. So that's always a point that people sometimes forget. They think they've had it and that's it, but
True.
There's more than one of them. Yeah, we've been kind of bracing for this potential thing because all the behaviors that we did to avoid COVID were way more effective at avoiding these other things than they were of avoiding of COVID.
True.
So we didn't have much flu for a couple of years. And somebody asked today, well, how much immunity do you have from year to year to the flu? The answer is not much, but we're about to find out for the first time in a long time what happens if there's really no significant immunity over the last couple of years. So it's likely to be a bad year. And again, you mentioned the RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, which is usually a bigger deal in young kids.
Yeah.
You can hospitalize those kids. It can make them very, very sick. And also immunosuppressed people like organ transplant folks in adults, it can make them sick too. So all these things could hit at once. And if it does, you're going to see, potential kind of stressing of the healthcare system. Any one of them on a bad year can make the things kind of bog down in emergency departments and things around the country. But if you have multiple of them going at the same time, we've just never really had to deal with that before, and we hope it won't stack up against us.
Yeah, I mean, this is becoming, but because I hear it on the news now on a daily basis, and some of the states up in the Northeast are really getting hit hard. But the RSV respiratory issue that concerns the littlest ones is becoming more of a deal for some of the older children. And of course, older folks, if you contract it can be really, really serious.
Yeah, it causes a lot of airway problems, wheezing and croupy sort of stuff. And so with a little kid, that can be particularly a big deal before all their airways are developed. But like you say, even the elderly and folks with immune compromise, they can get really sick from RSV and land in the hospital. And so it's not to be sneezed at. And, this year in flu, it's going to be, we predicted it would be bad because it hadn't been around for a while.
Right.
And our behaviors have really completely gone away from any kind of protective stuff like masks and avoidance. But we also have, unfortunately, more than just predictions. We have the Australian experience because the Southern Hemisphere guys get their winter first. And so they had a terrible year, both earlier than usual and way more severe than usual. So that's usually a pretty good predictor of what we're going to see. And what do you know? On cue, it's coming earlier. Memphis and Shelby County, a lot of times it's around, January, February, even later sometimes. But because I'm sometimes kind of casual about when I get my flu shot in October, maybe even November, but not this year. The time to get it now is about a month ago.
Wow. So if you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Dr. Steve Threlkeld. He is an infectious disease physician for the Baptist Medical Group. And Dr. Steve, I've been hearing that, of course, COVID and Omicron are ever evolving, and but there has been some noise and some conversation about a couple of new strains that could reemerge in our area sometime in December, heading into the first of the year. That could be some tough stuff. What are you hearing? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that viruses don't just sit still when they have the capacity. Like flu, for example, changes every year, need a vaccine every year. It mutates against what we've done last time. COVID has proven much more able to do that than what we thought it might along the way. And so now we see what we call convergent evolution or mutations. That is that several of these different variants are beginning to take on similar looks that seem to be the hot spots at getting around our immunity and avoiding our antibodies binding to them. So that's really the race that we've always had. And they're getting a little bit more effective at it. And what we, of course, worry about is that you get into a situation that turns back the clock, that they truly do get the mutations that will get around our immunity. And the immunity in the population is what's made it kind of less severe. But Omicron has several different variants out there. We've seen numbers tick up significantly in Europe, even in New York.
Yeah.
So, obviously it's a worry. We hope it won't be as severe as years past, and it may not be. But it's just sort of a race that we've always been in. We just didn't think about it like that.
You talked about the race and how it's always evolving. As a virus, is the booster that has been recommended. And I heard the president's going to get his tomorrow. Obviously, there's not a lot of attention paid to this. There's not a lot of folks who are interested in getting yet another shot. But any indication as to whether this booster can help in terms of the intensity of it should you get COVID?
Yeah, it's an incredibly complicated situation. It's the most complicated thing we've seen so far, though maybe not as quite at high stakes as some of the original vaccines. The thing about the new boosters, and I think they kind of came out with the new bivalent booster probably sooner than they should have with respect to data. Now data are filtering in that it probably really does protect better than just the old shot as a booster. But we didn't know that really when they came out with it. And this is the way I would summarize the booster situation. If you have had certainly even the first two, but let alone a third booster, you're probably really protected against hospitalization and death unless you were an immunosuppressed person or over 75 or have severe heart and lung problems. But what the booster will do is prevent you from maybe getting even mild infections. We saw it when the shots first came out, but then that sort of dwindled down.
Yeah.
The boosters get back to protecting even against milder infections. And it turns out that can be important even for mortality for those high risk groups. So preventing even milder infection in you or me may save somebody's life or keep them being hospitalized if they're 85 and have heart and lung troubles. So those boosters can make an actual difference in death rate in the higher risk populations, and they can keep you from getting a milder infection, even if you are healthy and younger, prevent you from spreading it to others, not even just talk about the long COVID cardiovascular stuff, blood clots, cardiomyopathies, those kinds of things. We don't know what COVID does to people over the time, and I would rather not get the thing at all. So it does also make sense for even those lower risk people to kind of stay up to date, at least for now, until we show that doesn't help anymore. In
terms of the statistics of this, have we seen anything, and you mentioned a little while ago, that Europe is always sort of the clock there. They're the ones that we kind of look to. Seen anything in terms of the kind of re-escalation of COVID over in Europe anywhere?
Yeah, they really have had increased numbers, even in this country, in New York City. New York City's travail saved a lot of lives here in the beginning. We saw all the catastrophes, deaths. You remember the refrigerated trucks out in front of hospitals just to store the bodies. It was awful in the beginning in New York. We had that much time after that to get things together, ramp up our bed base in the hospital, our PPE to protect people, and we were thankful for that here. So yeah, you've seen cases tick up in Europe and in New York. You hope that's not going to be the trend that's going to continue into the winter months and around the country. But at this point, after way over 1 million deaths, we'd be very foolish not to read things fairly carefully as they come out of those places.
I'm going to ask you one final question, and I did a test. I did a tester during the break before you came on. I asked Nicole and Lola. I said, we sort of had a pretty good indication that this season, in particular from the flu perspective, was going to be rough and pretty tough. Now, we also know that the flu kills annually about 10 to 20,000 people, but why isn't it? Let me ask you this: do you think that it might help? In particular, from say our school-age population, for these kids to be wearing masks again, because they're the ones that bring these germs home to mom and dad, and of course spread them in the schools, and which causes schools to get basically be off for 2 weeks because they had to disinfect them, and people getting sick. Is that a crazy idea that I had there?
Well, I mean, it's not a crazy idea at all. I don't think it's going to be practical. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I'm a realist, and if I can just get those kids to get their flu shots, I mean, anybody over 6 months old can get a flu shot, and that'll help protect grandparents and the like too. It frequently gets into the population, and we're seeing it now. I mean, it's in school-age kids right now. Yeah. The biggest number of cases are kids under 5. So if we can just get those kids their flu shots and prevent the worst of that, then that would be a bigger thing than we're probably going to do. So anything we can do absolutely will help. But you're right, it's 10, sometimes 30,000 people die a year by some estimates of the flu on the average year. This is not going to be an average year, I don't think. No. And so it's really worth doing that protection, because though the flu shot's not perfect at preventing any cases of the flu, like COVID, it's really, really good at keeping you from being hospitalized or dying from the flu.
It sounds like a winner to me. Dr. Steve Threlkeld, thank you, my friend, for coming on the show again tonight and to educating us and informing us. You stay up, you stay well until we talk again.
Thanks, Chip. Hope you feel better.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Dr. Steve Threlkeld, ladies and gentlemen, giving us some valuable information, and the most valuable information he gave was right at the end. Get that flu shot. I don't care if you don't get the flu, or I never gotten the flu, or whatever, I never gotten the flu shot. This could be your year, and this could be serious, and I like to take care of y'all because, I like you to check us out every week right here on The Big Show. When we come back after our final break, we're going to shift gears. We're going to talk a little arts and a little culture here in Shelby County. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
WYXR is supported by GPAC, presenting Joey Alexander on Saturday, October 15th. At the young age of 19, Joey Alexander has topped the Billboard Jazz Albums chart with multiple releases and now sets his sights to compose idiosyncratic original works. The composer's latest recordings are highly expressive, emotional, and sincere. More information at gpacweb.com.
Your WYXR Raised by Soundfest lineup is locked in. Are you ready? We'll kick things off with the opening of Kevin Morby's This Is a Photograph exhibit at Memphis Listening Lab on November 30th. Then on Saturday, December 3rd, a day of free live music from stellar local and regional acts in the Crosstown Central Atrium and Crosstown Brewing Company. Chemist Anika the Goddess, Mac Rowe, WYXR, Lemons, Doll McCoy, Stacey Adams, Knots,
and Aaron Ray. It all caps off with the 2 ticketed fundraising events. Big Star's 50th anniversary of #1 record with an all-star cast, Jody Stevens of Big Star, Mike Mills from REM, Pat Sansone of Wilco, and more. In Crosstown Theater is where you'll find them. The after party is a DJ set by WYXR's dynamic DJ collective Bodywork and Andrew Van Weingarten of MGMT, all at Crosstown's Green Room. Get details and tickets at raisedbysoundfest.com. It's WYXR's Raised by Soundfest at Crosstown Concourse on December 3rd, brought to you by Mempo Presents.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis, rounding third and headed for home on this Monday evening. Very happy to have you all with us. Mike Harris, Audrey Hill checking in, Otis Griffin watching, Johnny Curran, Cynthia Davis, Tamara Rhodes. Thank you all for checking us out on Facebook Live. And special thank you to our next guest. I guess that some particular form of fashion, it was decided that we needed to know a little bit more about the arts and the culture, which we have a lot of here in Memphis and Shelby County. And my next guest was named the Shelby County Arts and Culture Liaison. Her name is Nykesha Cole, and she joins us now on Real Talk. Nykesha, good to see you. Good to meet you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me this evening.
So you are the arts and culture czar, I would say it. And first of all, tell me why this is such an important component. Because I mean, obviously, it helps to make us well-rounded as individuals to know what's out there. But if you were to talk to some folks about why this is so important, what would you say?
Well, arts and culture are necessary for having a vital community. Absolutely. You said it makes us well-rounded, but as a community, it makes our community be more well-rounded. Mm-hmm. So it is important that we support the arts. It is an integral part of our culture in Shelby County. And there was not an office designated or a position designated to that within Shelby County. So that's why my position was created.
So how do you plan to do that? I mean, it sounds like a nice challenge for you. You do come from a pretty good background of all of this, but how do you plan on infusing the world of art and culture to us uninformed folks?
Well, first and foremost, what I've been doing for the short time that I've been in the role is that I've been actually getting out and meeting a lot of our arts and culture administrators with their organizations so I can tell their stories.
Okay.
We have tens of arts and culture organizations here in communities all across Shelby County doing amazing work. And it's important that we know the services that they offer and the programs that they provide so we can adequately connect them to our residents here in Shelby County.
So you said that there are a lot. So there is a lot to offer in that world. Am I correct that a lot of us really don't know about? And it sounds like you're the one that's going to be be the drumbeat and really let folks know. Look, this is what we got going on out here, and you ought to, because honestly, and I kid a little bit about this because I'm not real big in this particular area, but I think that especially for our young folks, it is important to know. Where things come from, how things emanate, and particularly, we live in a pretty creative society. Would you not agree with that?
Absolutely. We do live in a creative society, and there's a thing called the creative economy that's been, talked about for the last 20 years or so.
What is that?
And as we continue to grow the economy, and as we have generations that are getting older, there are a lot of integral parts of the economy that are driven by the creative economy. That is everything from people doing traditional art to advertising to media to film to fashion design, culinary arts. The creative economy is something that is integral to progressive communities that are looking to advance. And there are a lot of opportunities in these fields, and they cross-section with technology. So it's going to be important to promote and understand those things so we can go to the next realm in that capacity.
Yeah, we're always looking ahead to the next generation, and unless they're exposed to this, then they won't know. Because you mentioned a whole lot that you can squeeze under the cultural umbrella. I know I've had some folks on here. We talk about dance and ballet and things like that, and that's a very big component. In this town, it seems like, and it seems to me like it's growing. Am I correct in that assumption?
You are correct, and if I can say this for myself, they had the Memphis Dance Festival. I think this was probably close to a month ago at Collage, and you had every form of dance represented there. There was a significant turnout, and Marcellus Harper, who is the executive director for Collage, mentions that dance is an integral part of our culture here in Memphis and Shelby County, and it's important that we showcase that on a platform that promotes that as part of our culture. So. I would say that dance is integral. There's lots of visual arts organizations. There are several theater groups, performing arts education organizations. We have numerous organizations that provide these opportunities for young people, and we want to make sure that we're connecting them and taking advantage of those.
Yeah, I was going to say, and for those of you who are just joining us, we're speaking with Nykesha Cole. She is the Shelby County Arts and Culture Liaison for our area, and really talking about so many opportunities out there from the creative aspect of things. And you used the word a second ago, and I'm going to borrow it again, that you're really the connective tissue. You're bringing folks together, and you're helping to create an awareness, not amongst each other and in the arts and culture community, but also just for the general public to know what's out there, what's available, and what people need. Because you're honestly, you are right. We have a plethora of highly professional venues out here, whether it be music, whether it be dance, whether it be art, whether it be, there's so many things that I don't think a lot of people know about or have the awareness of, or maybe take advantage of, that it's here. But this really is an opportunity, isn't it?
It is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to, build on our innovation and progress that we have in our community. Something that I'm going to mention as well, in addition to just arts organizations, Mayor Harris's office instituted the 901 student passport program during the pandemic, in the height of the pandemic, where students have access to free admission to museums and cultural entities within Memphis and Shelby County.
Yes.
And that's something that we want to be able to promote to young people and their families as well. We have amazing cultural institutions within our community that we want to make sure that all Shelby Countyans, regardless of where they are located in the county, are able to take advantage of those things. You can get free admission to the National Civil Rights Museum, Richmond Nature Center, Botanic Gardens. We just want to make sure that our community, young people in our community, are getting that exposure. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, that was an integral part of my educational experience.
Sure, absolutely.
Being able to go to, exhibits at the Dixon, or going to the Pink Palace and seeing, learning about the history of the community that we live in. That is just an integral part of our growth as individuals. And then also, when you learn what your talents are and what you appreciate about your community, it probably gives you a greater sense of self. And
I agree with that.
It did.
Look, there's a lot here. There's a lot to offer, and there's a lot to see. And you know what? I'm glad you're here. I think this is going to be something that is going to be extraordinarily beneficial to so many people. The opportunity to get to know and to participate in things like this. And Nykesha Cole, it is good to meet you, and I think they got the right one. I think you're going to be great. And I look forward to you coming back on the show as you get settled in with some programs and some initiatives and some of the things that you'll be working on down the road.
So in the next few months, you'll be hearing more about some of the things we have going. As far as our Arts and Culture Subcommittee, the Shelby County Arts and Culture Subcommittee, which is a subset of the Shelby County Nonprofit Committee.
Okay.
So you'll be hearing some more about those initiatives and things that we have planned. And I definitely would love to come back and talk about it.
I look forward to it. Nykesha, thank you for coming on Real Talk tonight. Best of luck in everything that you do, and we look forward to see what the future holds.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Take care. You too. Nykesha Cole, ladies and gentlemen, Shelby County Arts and Culture Liaison. And she talked about a lot of good things. And there is a lot of good stuff going on here, as well as the arts in Memphis and Shelby County. And we all need to be exposed to that. And I think that they got the right one to be able to do it for Shelby County. So as we head for home, very happy as Lola plays us out to have you along for the ride. It's been a week or so since we've been here. Kudos and congratulations to WYXR. Pledge Week just ended, and they met their goal again. Thanks to all of you who support this radio station. It is a community radio station, and it can't function without your help and your assistance. And you came through like you have the last few years, and from all of us here, thank you, and thank you for all you do for WYXR. We're going to get out of here now. So for Lola and for Nicole, I'm Chip. But before I go, I want to say thank you for supporting Real Talk Memphis. I hope that when we come back here next week, I'll be feeling better, and we'll be able to do the show, but do it just a little bit better. So for all of us, in the meantime and between time, I'm Chip. Cough, cough, sniff, sniff. And I'm out.